X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us right now over the phone is a guy that is absolutely crushing the game right now in professional wrestling. He left WWE, and some people I know in real high places and that doubted this guy when he left, and I didn't. I 100% promise you, I didn't. I knew this guy was going to crush it. Cody Rhodes, everyone.
Yeah, the American Nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, man, thank you guys very much. Thanks for having me.
Cody, yeah, man. Hey, what I was going to tell you is, hey, look, when you left WWE, you'd never really been, you'd never been an independent scene before that, right?
No, I mean, I had seen just glimmers of it, just a little glimpse
Sure.
when Dusty did his
Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling?
Yeah, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling and his farewell tour with, going around the kind of the southern states. So I'd only ever seen that. I'd never been on an independent myself. I went straight to the WWE developmental when I got hired. So yeah, never been on one until I left.
So that being said, when you're in the WWE, even if you had an independent experience, once you've been in WWE for a while, you get caught up in that like there's nothing else but WWE. And
Sure.
Yeah, and especially if you didn't know the landscape, Cody, there must have been a certain amount of fear of the unknown of what you were getting into, maybe? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of time to prep.
Yeah.
I was just not happy for quite some time, and I wanted to not do anything knee-jerk. So I kind of field tested all the resources I had. Kevin Owens, for example,
Yeah.
was somebody that I must have asked 800,000 questions about everything from how travel is different, from where to ask for more, where to not worry about the money, where's, an absurd amount of questions with the timing of the opponents, you name it, and presentation, all that. So I had a lot of time to prepare. There was definitely this feeling of fear, but I have this rule that if it doesn't scare you, it's not an adventure.
Amen.
And, it's been a hell of an adventure.
Yeah, and the thing is, and this is why I love what you're naming your guys' show in Chicago, All In, is that you're all in on yourself. And even though a lot of people doubted you when leaving, I can tell that you didn't have any self-doubt whatsoever, maybe, huh?
No, I definitely wasn't doubting. I guess the word would be my skill set.
Yeah.
The worst thing that could have happened to me at WWE wasn't that I was unhappy with the last few years. The worst thing that happened to me was that I had gotten so close to creative happiness in the years prior to that, in the 2010 and 11. I mean, literally, like fingers on the brass ring. And in my eyes, I thought I had grasped it. So that was worse than the last 2 years, knowing I had gotten a taste, and I just could never get that taste out of my mouth. I was addicted to, wanting to be close to, wanting to be on top there. I never wanted to be anything but. So yeah, no, I didn't doubt my skill set, but I will say I definitely, took a deep breath the first time I saw some of the bigger names on the independent scene and what they're capable of. Because there's some talented folks out there. It's some mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah. When you were so you felt like there was just no more upward mobility for you at that point in WWE?
I felt like there was nothing I could do within WWE. You know, some of my friends who have, you know, they've been yo-yo, they've been up, they've been down. Some of my friends there, they're real hard workers, and they're of the impression that, hey, I'll just work hard and I'll get to the top. I don't think wrestling is necessarily a fair business.
That's right.
Where the hard work equates to getting to the top. I think you have to work smart versus work hard, and if you can do both, even better.
Yeah.
I just felt WWE Stardust at the time, there was no heartbeat for me. None.
Gotcha.
And NXT also was a huge inspiration for me to leave, because NXT is just Hunter's independent scene. It's
right.
amazing. He hand plucked all these great buzzworthy talents and had them fight against each other, and those were the guys that were getting the attention of the crowd, that capturing their imaginations, and I was very inspired by NXT. I know it doesn't sound like that makes sense then to leave WWE, but that's what it did. It was seeing those guys who already had a brand, who already had buzz, and having built their things, and then all they had to do was polish up, and they were ready to go. So, yeah, no, it was something I had to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
You spoke about talking with Kevin Owens and getting knowledge from him about the indies. Besides the Young Bucks, have you learned anything from any independent wrestler coming back to the indies that has taught you something that you didn't know before?
I have an expression, Matt and Nick will tell you, I think it annoys the hell out of them, but I always say it. I get real antsy when I'm not working, and I always say I got to be bumping and learning. I've got to be bumping and learning. Right now I just can't be anywhere but in the ring. I got to be working. And with that said, I've learned a ton of various things, a myriad of things, from the independent scene, from the opponents I have had. I wrestled Kurt Angle on the independent scene. I also wrestled a guy like A.R. Fox on the independent scene. I learned something every match. The biggest thing I've learned, the biggest takeaway, is to get out of my damn comfort zone.
Yes.
And that isn't, it's not even just in wrestling. It's in funny backstage segments. It's in interviews. It's getting out of my comfort zone. Not always is it a success, but I can't get stuck in any one way. I can't get stuck. Right when we started talking, you mentioned that all there is WWE bubble. Yeah. That bubble exists in every company, big or small. ROH, there's a bubble. New Japan, there's a bubble. I try to make my brand no bubble, because it's too easy to get caught up in one style and one way. They're really, to find how you want to play your music, you've got to listen to a lot of different types of music, I guess.
Well, Cody, you mentioned working smart, not being in your bubble and all of that. So I wanted to know, how did you come up with the idea of the list of guys you wanted to face after your 90-day no-compete clause was over?
The list fell in my lap in a really great way where, like I said, I had time to prep. I also was, I don't think it's illegal, but I was also already talking to a lot of the more high-profile independent places. Northeast Wrestling is one, for example, and we were already talking about potential matches. Opponents had been talked to, and it was shaping up in kind of this dream. There were names on there, names like, Chris Hero, Adam Cole, Kurt Angle. There were these names on there, and it just looked like a dream list already. So I figured, why don't we just put the ones we have already pretty much pen to paper booked? Why don't we put them down on paper, and then why don't we put the other ones who I am also interested in? I wanted, you mentioned the bubble. I wanted to show the audience I'm not worried about the bubble anymore. I want to go into all different places. The funny thing about the list also is I wrote it once and it looked so terrible because my handwriting is just pathetic, that I had Brandy, I had my wife. The actual list that made it to that viral tweet was was Brandy's handwriting, so you can put it all on her.
Has the experience outside WWE been everything that you want it to be, or has it exceeded your expectations in any sort of way?
Definitely has exceeded my expectations, because I don't really even know what my expectations were. I think a lot of folks, the game plan might be, all right, go away, get hot, come back. I don't know if that was ever my game plan, but now I've ended up in a situation where I'm self-financing an arena show. There are all these third-party sponsorships that I don't have a middleman like a WWE in between us and them anymore. Now I can't even give myself expectations, because our whole wrestling world, at least in my opinion, is changing like it's into something it hasn't been before. It's a really great time to be a wrestler and to be a wrestling fan. I mean, I like to tell people the world is a lot smaller now, because you can see everything at the drop of the hat. You can watch Ring of Honor on the Honor Club. You can watch WWE on the network. Bam, everything is accessible, and no longer are you only limited to X amount of wrestlers, you know?
Yeah. So, and Cody, you're on New Japan, you're on Ring of Honor, you're everywhere, man. Is that an issue for any of these companies? Like say ROH and New Japan. Is there any kind of a conflict between those two companies when it comes to you, or the Bucks for that matter?
I think there's a lot of, I give everybody credit who pretty much lets me take the same, I hate saying brand, it sounds so pretentious, but allows me to be me pretty much across the board. There's a lot of trust involved, and I actually think it's very old school. A lot of this is just handshake. Hey, if you're going to go out in the world as part of our brand, make sure you keep us in your, our best interests at heart. And I'm already like that. I don't really tone it down ever.
Yeah. Well,
so there's a lot of trust.
And I just think that when you bring as much to the table as you do and the Young Bucks do and Kenny Omega does, and we'll talk about your match with him coming up this weekend in a minute, but when you bring that kind of stuff to the table, you can do the things that you guys are doing that maybe some other guys, they wouldn't be allowed to. Because what are you going to,
right.
They need you. Honestly, they need you guys as much as you guys need them.
I'll tell you, I really appreciate, his name is Greg. He's in the office at ROH. He's not an on-air character. He's kind of the behind-the-scenes coordinator of Ring of Honor, him and Joe Koff. And I really appreciate their forward thinking, especially when it came to All In. They could have said, because we're supposed to be exclusive contracted domestically in the States to them, they could have said, hey guys, no way. But instead, they literally, Joe Koff said to me, okay, well, cool, we're all in too. Let us know whatever you need. And that's like, it's not about the brand you work for. It's about the wrestler you are. And I really appreciated that forward thinking on that. It's been shaping up to be a hell of an event. We just broke down some of the card last weekend, and very excited.
Yeah, any of that you can share with us, or is that still kind of under wraps?
Can't share anything. All right, I'd have to sue myself.
Right.
I will say, and this is something you may appreciate. It's really kind of off to the side, but I just got off the phone with Paul Chicago, which is a no-kill shelter and animal, charity in Chicago, and we're going to do some partnering with them over that weekend, because my dog, who I sent you a picture of yesterday, Pharaoh, he's going to be doing a meet and greet, and I wanted to be able to donate that money, 100% of it, to the a good charity in Chicago. So there's all these like fun side projects outside of this dream card we're trying to put together. The weekend's really gotten away from me. I've had to several times coordinate everybody over and over again. It's It's a lot of fun, though.
Are you able to delegate a lot of this stuff to other people to do for you? Or are you one of those guys that wants to be hands-on on everything?
I think it actually comes back down to getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. I can't be in control of everything. And Matt and Nick, we have the rule of kind of it's got to get 3 thumbs up from us.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you who the secret person behind All In, that is, we call her the queen of the event, is Dana Massey, who is Matt's wife. Ooh, she pretty much, we're in Japan goofing around on being the elite. She pretty much fields every corporate email and gets it all lined up, and she's been an immense resource.
Awesome, because I know your schedule must be just ridiculous, man. Because when you got back to me finally, you had just flown in from, I'm not sure where. Did you come back from Japan?
Yeah, I just got back from Japan.
Yeah.
The old fly to Japan for one show, spend 4 days getting there.
Yeah. By the way,
it was fun.
Speaking of comfort zones, like one of my favorite sayings is nothing great happens in your comfort zone. So I'm all with you when it comes to that, man. All with you.
That's a great quote. Oh, hell yeah.
Well, speaking of Japan, what are the differences between wrestling in the U.S. and Japan?
There's for me, and I think a lot of pure strong style fans may not like this. For me, I don't really try to, I always say play my music. I don't try to do me much differently, but as far as Japan and strong style and the respect-based system they have with the young lions, gosh, dude, I say I don't wrestle any different, but there is so many differences. For example, just off the top of my head, if a match isn't over 15 minutes in Japan, they don't get into it. It's so there's this there's this like appreciation for the struggle and the sport side, and I mean just little things from how you don't see a lot of strikes like punches. You don't see a lot of Randy Savage style punches in Japan, but you see a lot of those
elbow strikes,
incredibly stiff elbow strikes to the nerve cluster on your chin. The lockup comes from completely across the ring versus when you're getting close. There's just I really appreciate the young lions.
Yeah.
If you don't know what the young lions are, they're the young boys. They train at the dojo, and they have their own shows where they do black trunks and black boots and they know like character stuff, and then they graduated.
And they're only allowed to do certain moves, like the basic moves. They're not allowed to do anything fancy, and they have to make their match out of those moves.
Yeah, they have to do a really basic style match, and then right from being at those Young Lion shows, they throw on their track suits, and then they're out there at the ringside area, and they just, to me, it's such a wild experience.
Yeah.
How respectful they are and everything that they do for the guys. And Brandy, she gets a huge kick out of it when she's over there, 'cause she doesn't have a clue what the heck is going on. They'll carry her to the ring. They'll let her yell at her. It's just amazing, man. The respect-based system they have at New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think it's pretty much across the board in Japanese wrestling. That respect-based system is really a beautiful thing. I love watching it. I like a guy like Kitamura. He's a young lion who's graduating and getting ready to go on his first excursion. I'm going to try and take care of him if he gets to ROH in the next few months, because that's just a cool system, you know?
Yeah. Hey, Cody, do you think that, and George Carroll from New Japan asked me this not that long ago. He was wondering if the young lion, if the young boy system would work here in the States.
It would be difficult because of the temptations of social media. Also because in the States, there's so many opinions from our veterans, and there's so much. The States, there's such different types of wrestling. You can be the best guy, on the stick, the best interview, but you could also be the best in the ring. Who knows? It could work, but what would really need to sell that system is the same thing that sells the one in New Japan. If you look at Naito, who's a massive star right now, he himself was a young lion. The young lions end up graduating and becoming mega money-making stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling and worldwide now with their expansion. So it would need to be the same. It can't be like I hate to use the power plant as an example.
Yeah.
But you'd have to get disciplined guys who really want it and who really love it. You know better than anybody. If you don't love it, you can't be taught to love it. You have to just love it. It has to be there.
So do you think these are issues that the dojo that just opened in Long Beach are going to fall into?
Well, if Shibata is at the dojo predominantly there, I'm sure he'll weed out very quickly who loves it and who doesn't. I hope the dojo in Long Beach is a huge success. It has the best of both worlds with a guy like Scorpio Sky, and it has the best of both worlds with Shibata being there. I think right now is the perfect time for that the dojo to open up, because the expansion isn't it's not a trial thing. It's very real. The interest alone in the last Long Beach shows, the 3 we've had so far, the interest alone is so strong. So it's not a trial thing. I hope they found a good class of young lions there, or hope they will.
What were your thoughts of the first G1 Long Beach show compared to this last Long Beach show?
I was kind of mad at the first one that I got booed out of the building. I had just won the ROH title in Lowell, Massachusetts, where I was like the hero, and everyone is a Bullet Club crowd, and everybody was so into the moment. And then I genuinely was shocked. You can see it on my face. I'm a little rattled when it happens. I think these shows in Long Beach have been outstanding. I think from all perspectives, the thing that New Japan does really well is the word sports entertainment is very much what pro wrestling is. I don't knock that word, but I will say if WWE hits that entertainment portion of it harder than the sports side, New Japan is the opposite. They really skew towards the sports side of it, and a lot of fans want that. There's a demographic for it that we've seen, a lot, just in terms of numbers of fans, and I think the Long Beach shows have really hit that on the head. I'm excited that San Francisco, the Cow Palace, is happening. That's a big ballsy move, and I'm excited for that one.
I'm all about big ballsy moves, Cody, and
that's right.
Yeah, and you know what? I was at that not the last one, but I was at the Long Beach show that you had that excellent cage match with Joey Ryan. That was a tremendous match.
APW at the Cow Palace, you mean?
Yeah, APW, Marcus and All Pro Wrestling is what a class act. I like that place a lot. I have kind of a bone to pick with you, and I totally forgot about this. The move I got busted open with on Sunday at the Sakura Genesis pay-per-view was a spinning back heel kick.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So in my vernacular, I only refer to that as an X-Pac. That's what we call it, because you had the really good one. You know what I'm saying? You had the best one I can ever remember on the screen is yours.
That means a lot to me, man.
That's what Kenny Omega hit me with that split my eye wide open. I mean, that's very apropos that we're talking right now.
I always tell my opponents to put their hand up.
That's the key, man.
Yeah.
You got to get your hands up on everything these days.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of that, I saw the picture of you with it was right above. It was kind of a boxer's cut above the eye, or up to the side.
100% a boxer's cut. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is like, Disco Inferno uses that particular incident as a way to start bringing up how guys are hurting each other and this or that. That's absolutely the wrong example to use for anything like that, because those types of shots, like, that's not what like gives you brain damage. Like, that cuts you open and it hurts and that, but like, it's not dumping a guy on his head every night or any of these careless things. It's just that it was just a terrible example for him to use.
Right. It's funny because a boxer's cut, if you don't know what it is quite simply your bone is literally it's the thinnest piece. There's not a lot of muscle or fat. The bone is right behind your skin, so it just takes a little bit of contact and it splits down the bone. Not at all an example of recklessness or carelessness, but I regret hitting the ball back to Disco at all, because I had no idea Disco was driving this narrative of guys working for Meltzer stars, or whatever the hell he was talking about. If you follow my career, Dave Meltzer does not rate me highly. I like Dave.
Yeah.
I think he's a very nice guy. He actually gave me a really nice gift one time when I did an APW show. APW
I was there
again, but yeah, I like Dave. I think he does good by the sport as far as he provides transparency. He's kind of weeding out the carny businesses and elements.
That's right.
I like Dave for a lot of reasons. But for Disco to think I'm a Meltzer guy blew my mind. And I hit the damn ball back to him, and I regret it so much because I took everything off message.
Yeah.
Here we are getting ready for this huge match with me and Kenny Omega, and this I asked myself, what the hell are you doing talking to Disco Inferno? What a mess.
Here's the thing about all of that. All of that, no matter where you fall on those types of opinions, I really dislike what's going on in the like that part of wrestling right now with all this almost like divisive politics you see on the news, but it's happening in wrestling. You know, like I'm not even going to name names, but there's like one particular guy that does a podcast and he gets people riled up on one side, and there's other people that, you know, are on the opposite end of the spectrum that aren't doing any better themselves, and I just don't like it. I think it sucks.
Well, I'm with you on that, because the concept of there's two things that really bother me when it comes to some of our veterans, some of our legends. I love the industry like nobody else, so I have a great respect for the legends and veterans. But if you're telling the audience that we're killing the business, that we're exposing the industry, your statement in itself is not only ironic, it is also exposing the business that you're trying to protect by making your initial statement. It's a completely backwards process, and it doesn't help anyone. And then when we start hitting the ball back, no one's booking that. It's nonsense to me. And then the other thing that just totally I can't understand is why we are trying to tell our fans how to be fans.
Exactly.
You can't.
You shouldn't like this. You shouldn't like that. That sucks.
Oh, they paid their money. In the wrestling economy, you should never come out of your pocket unless it's something that you feel will really entertain you, that you feel will really move you. It's just like any entertainment anymore. You don't have to accept mid-range entertainment. You give your money to what you think is the best. So for us, or an old-timer, or a legend, or a veteran, or a senior writer at Bleacher Report, for them to coach an audience is absurd. The fans are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. If they love what we're giving them, great. And if they're not, then we need to give them something else. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate the modern thought process of coaching the fans. Come on, man.
It really bums me out that guys my age and guys older are, you know, from our generations are a lot of them just completely shit on anything that's being done now. Like, and man, I love wrestling right now. To me, like you were talking about earlier, Cody, to me, it's the best time to be a pro wrestler and a wrestling fan. Not just a great time, the best time overall. Yeah, maybe WWE business isn't through the roof. I just don't think it's a fair comparison to compare, because the landscape is totally different now. It's just you can't. It's a false equivalency to try to compare the two.
Yeah, it's a crazy time, and it is amazing to me when some of the wrestlers I grew up loving, or grew up watching and learning from, when they dislike the direction, because I'm sure, back when Wrestling from the Chase, when Harley Race was taking these super high backdrops, and at the time that was unheard of.
Yep.
I'm sure he was doing something wrong too, but it's.
They said the same thing. They said the same thing to Flair and Steamboat. Even Jerry Lawler. I talked to Jerry Lawler about this at Raw 25 because we were talking about this, and he was going. People even said that stuff to him too because of the way, because he was innovative in his work back in the day.
Oh yeah, and I think the real answer, the ticket for a modern active wrestler, and I'm not a good example of this because, like I said, I just got into this silly ass banter with poor Disco Inferno.
Right.
I think the best answer is not to hit the ball back.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is go out there and deliver. Tully Blanchard, to get the fans the loudest, the longest, and that be that, and just that's the best revenge, if that's a good word for it, is success. And
sure.
Right now, business is very successful across the board. I include WWE in that. Their worldwide presence is strong as hell, and business outside of WWE going upwards, trending upwards. ROH had a 30% gross increase in their year. New Japan, you've seen what they're doing.
Yeah.
Business going upwards. You know this firsthand because you were on both shows in the great period of late 90s with wrestling, whatever you want to call it, Attitude Era, or
Monday
whatever.
Night Wars era, depends.
You were there. You know that competition, even when you don't acknowledge it as competition, is key, man. You want to be better than that guy that said, I'll give you an example. Kenny Omega and I have our match at Supercard of Honor. It means the world to me. It's the biggest match I've ever had in my life. It's just everything's been built to it. I'm almost emotional thinking about all the work that went into this match.
And it's the
biggest.
Right
across the.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
It's the biggest match in the history of ROH.
It is, and it's got the numbers to back it up. It has the biggest crowd in ROH history, and it's cross platforms as far as being the elite, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor. It's representing multi-platform. I know right across the street is Gargano and Ciampa from NXT. I know that's right across the street. I think that's so good for wrestling that we're going head-to-head and that we both have full houses. And I want to make sure that what I do is better than what they do. I don't think that's a bad thing for wrestling at all.
It's the best thing for wrestling, man. It's the best. I love it, man.
I think Lou agrees. She just gave a little snarl.
Cody, do you ever feel any pressure facing guys like Kenny Omega and Okada in these big single matches?
I don't feel pressure really in many situations, and I don't say that to sound cool. I say that because I grew up the son of Dusty Rhodes. Even when I wasn't in pro wrestling, even when I was a little folk-style amateur wrestler, and parents were, telling their kids that they were going to wrestle the son of Dusty Rhodes, like that, after a while, you stop worrying about the pressure, and you just have to focus on what you do. Maybe in my subconscious, maybe sitting back there, I want to make sure that I have a match worthy of all involved. But I'm not really a pressure guy. I might actually be too laid back in some scenarios.
Hey, Cody, how's your body feeling?
I'll say okay, 90.
Yeah.
Let's say 90. no injuries. I've never had to work injured. You know, little hurts here and there. I hate that this happened to my eye because my eye looks pretty bad. Brandy, not so happy with the eye. The eye looks bad. My lower back is starting to, I don't know. I felt like I was Superman for a long time, and now my lower back is starting to enter a different realm of my career. But man, I've been really lucky. No injuries, just little hurts here and there. And also, not to sing a PSA or sound like a goody two-shoes, because I've never taken steroids.
Yeah.
It's been very helpful to my career. I've never put on too much mass and had those random muscle tears and rips. I've never had that situation. I've let my body grow naturally, and I'm very lucky for having done that.
And no one's ever said, hey, look at what happened to Cody. Like, he used to be jacked, and now he's like, you know, shrunk, or vice versa. You don't see or hear any of that.
I think steroids, man, are I'm so glad that wrestling is entering this period where we kind of have all body types again.
Yeah.
You got guys like Sami Zayn, and then you got these, you know, bodies with like Greek gods, and somebody like Kota Ibushi, and then you've got, you know, Bray Wyatt, blah blah. I mean, you've got a spectrum of physiques and more healthy living, you know, than perhaps the 1980s or, you know.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, it's not, and I say this a lot, and you know, a lot of people, maybe they won't say it in this way, but like, okay, there was this whole outlaw spirit about the wrestlers that was kind of something that was attractive about us that maybe isn't as strong anymore, with guys not out like being crazy and getting all messed up in bar fights and all this crazy shit. But man, it's so much better that we don't have our friends dropping left and right, man, or we show up to the Waffle House and one of our friends has got his face first down in their soup because they're all pilled up, or you know, God, I'm so grateful. Yeah, exactly. So grateful for that, man. And it's so refreshing that like guys like you, Young Bucks, and other guys are you know, that are taking a hold of business, have that mentality and aren't going out there and getting all messed up, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, your friends dropping left and right. For my generation, those were our heroes.
Yeah.
So it didn't make any sense. Nobody should be, you know, in their mid-30s, mid-40s. You know, like, what's happening? These guys, we grew up. So one of the worst things ever is when I watch wrestling every night. I say I won't, but then I end up watching it. One of the worst things ever is when you watch one of those matches that's from like 1992 and everyone in the match is deceased.
Yeah.
That I just hate it. So yeah, it's a healthier living.
I watched a match. It was just the other night. I'm not going to mention which one it was, but I was the only one still alive in the match I was watching. Yeah.
Wow. Nuts.
Yeah, even the referee was dead.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
So.
I'm glad the business, and I'll give credit where credit is due, WWE with their, you know, their rehab policy.
Yeah.
Where any former employee can go through it. I know two offhand. One's a family member that have gone through it successfully, and that's a huge. I'm sure that's a huge expense for WWE, but it's a pretty solid move.
Yeah, and they've spent a lot of money helping me in that regard too, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey Cody, you know I was asking you about how your body felt, and this made me think of this. Now the one of the differences when you're not in the WWE and you're a free agent like yourself, are you considered a free agent?
Yeah, I would say so.
Way,
right now, I have a nice, big, healthy contract with Ring of Honor, but I'm still able to do internationally anything I'd like.
It's not having the same ring to work in is what I'm getting at. And you know, you show up. Yes. You show up and you never know, like, okay, I'm going to a new promotion, wonder what kind of ring they're going to have. You know what I mean? It could be, it's when you're in WWE, you know what the ring is every night. I'm wondering if there's been an issue for you when it comes to that.
And you know what? I think they're kind of balanced because you're absolutely right with some of the high spots rings, or not high spots rings per se, but just new rings, square posts instead of round posts, really loose ropes over in the UK versus, New Japan style cable ropes.
Yep.
I'll say it's balanced out though, because as long as I can get out there, walk the boards a little bit, get an idea what I'm going with, I feel comfortable. And also, because I'm no longer on a WWE schedule, where the balance is, I think my body is pretty much the same, because the WWE schedule, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that takes a hell of a person, a hell of a man or a hell of a woman to be able to really, if you're giving your all, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that's so I don't have to do, it's those 2 extra days, those Monday, Tuesday. Not having those days, I feel like has given my body a little reprieve.
So are you saying that every week you make sure you don't book yourself on certain days? Because I'm pretty sure you could work every day of the week right now.
Right now I could, and when I first jumped off, I wanted to work as much.
Yeah. Bam,
bam, bam, bam, go everywhere as many times as I possibly could. Wanted to see what I was capable of. Now I have a very, it's different for me. Now I'm able to focus kind of on more per match.
Yeah.
ROH's schedule, the one that I'm pretty much committed to the most, that's a really nice schedule, just for a wrestler, for one of the boys or girls. It's a very nice schedule. You get these bursts of 4 or 5 shows in a row, but then you have a full week off. I mean, just to think, back in the day, I'd never even, I'm sure you know this, couldn't take vacation.
Right. You get hurt. Your vacation was when you get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. TV is live every week, so no matter what, you got to get back to TV. So now it's, I like this schedule a lot. I like this schedule a little too much, to be honest.
I bet.
Nice.
I bet it's great being your own boss, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so cool on so many levels to control, because you're allowed to put in however much work you want. As far as I want to work on, my interviews. I want to work on, building a really good set of matches over this tour. I want to work on my merchandise. You can go, half in on that, and you're your own boss, and you can accept that, or you can go all in on it, and no pun intended, and see really how good you are at all this. And that's been the most fun to me. I feel like a real connection to my dad, more than I did when I was in WWE, because Dusty was just a big, always thinking about the business. What could I do? What would I have done differently on that TV? What would be a good T-shirt? What's a funny saying?
Yeah, he was a creator and a producer, not just a professional wrestler. Like, there was so much about him that was just amazing that we don't even have time to get into. Oh my God! But
yeah, no,
I was just gonna say, I see you like in your own way, like doing that same thing in your career.
Yeah, I try to do exactly what you said, and that's actually a Vince quote. I remember years ago, Vince said, "Guys, we got to be our own producers, our own directors, our own cameramen, and our own wrestlers." He was, talking about a segment, and one of the bonds I have with the Bullet Club guys is they're very much their own producers, their own creators. I've seen Matt Jackson literally take a cameraman in New Japan and turn him to make sure he got the shot that they wanted. Like, they have a really all-encompassing mind.
Nice. Yeah, that's why it's such a good fit, you guys all together. When I saw that you guys gravitated towards each other, I was like, that makes perfect sense to me. And the other thing about the Bullet Club. Now, that thing has gone through, since its inception, a lot of incarnations, and I just think that what you've done with it, since you've been there, I think it's great, man, because it's not just the same Bullet Club.
Right. Well, I wasn't gonna have it die on me, like it had such great personalities. It had Finn Balor and AJ Styles and Kenny's Bullet Club versus my Bullet Club. I wanted to see, if I could keep it at its level or get it shooting through the roof more. And right now, the Bullet Club is really standing the test of time. And the Bullet Club gets a lot of criticism because of the parody elements. Hey, well, they stole this from the NWO. They stole this from DX. Right. Yet we're still here, and now we are not doing any of that. The parody elements are just that. They're parody elements. They're funny, haha moments. But everything else going on has nothing to do with that. It's its own thing. And I don't sing the praises of the Bullet Club a lot because I just like the fact that time will be its judge, and it's still going, and it's still capturing the imagination of a lot of our audience, and that's the goal.
And the thing about it is the Bullet Club members, they bring something to the shirt, not the shirt bringing something to them. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? It's not it's not like NWO where, okay, what are we going to do at Virgil? I'll give him a shirt. You know what I mean?
Right. No, you're, really pinpointing and specific. The other day, somebody asked me, as the leader of the Bullet Club, what are you going to do differently? And I said, well, I think it's time that the Bullet Club has a few ladies in it, a few women.
Yeah.
And what I meant specifically was what makes you different in the Bullet Club is when you bring your shirt, when you get your specific themed after you, not themed after the group. When it represents you, that's what makes it official.
Like the Villain Club.
I think Villain Club is a great example. I think that's what has made our Being the Elite crew very fun and very some of these shows we go to, they feel like an absolute party because there's somebody in the crew that you like. There's whether it's the style and the absolute madness of a Young Bucks match, or it's the UK presentation and the pageantry of Marty, or if it's my more, I don't even know what you would call it, WWE representation, whatever. Everybody in the group has a thing that you can hook into, and it's cool to not let the brand define you, but you can kind of define the brand as long as we're able to do that.
And then when the invasion of Raw happened, I was, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I think it's been long enough now. I won't get too much heat for this, but I was texting. I can't remember who exactly I was texting. Goes, try to get in the building. Try to get in the building.
I think the exact text, Matt Jackson. I think you said something along the lines of go as far as you can possibly go with it.
Yes.
And I that was such a fun day. Oh man, to think the fallout of what we were, trying to accomplish, and just a fun day. Yeah, no, I'm glad you appreciated it.
Oh my
it was a
God.
very stressful few hours.
No, it was so classic. And the thing about it is even the fallout, like the repercussions or however you want to put it, the cease and desist, all that. Oh, that made it even better. And I'm going to tell you why, because people were all like, oh, they can't do that. Like, they can't make them quit saying those things. Well, the people that were all caught up in that don't understand that saying suck it and going too sweet did not define Young Bucks, Bullet Club, anything like that. Didn't need any of that. I was personally like thrilled that you guys were doing that, or that they were doing that, because that was a tribute to us. I love that. Made us relevant again.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'll tell you that Matt and Nick both were trying to get away from Suck It, for example.
Yeah.
At the time, they really wanted to stop with Suck It, and when that came along, it's only helped I think it's only helped everybody. Just the concept of a genuine cease and desist. Some people got really pissed off over the invasion. I had some old friends not very happy. I thought it was fairly harmless, and I also thought in the presentation of it, it almost was, homage to the original invasion. There's a great many parallels, but some people just flat out were pretty pissed about it. It was an awkward period. Very fun.
Some people in WCW were pretty pissed when we went and did that back then too.
I can't imagine. Man.
Sometimes we got to piss people off, Cody.
Yeah, man. If it doesn't scare you, it's not an adventure, man.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
And they'll get over it. I'm pretty sure they already did. So.
Sure, I think so.
Hey, man, I could just keep on talking to you forever, even though I had that huge brain fart earlier.
That's okay.
I think we made it through it.
Yeah, but we're pretty far into this, man, and I'm so grateful for the time you've already given us. And anything real quick before we take it home, as far as plugging the match with Kenny and the whole Supercard of Honor, or anything else.
Supercard of Honor. Well, I think that's where I'm headed. That's my focus. It got dubbed the match of the weekend, and I think that's a hell of a responsibility. That tagline alone. There's so many great matches this weekend, but the thing about this first ever encounter between Kenny and myself is that it is the first ever time we've had a singles match, and the implications of, we're just talking about how great the Bullet Club is. Well, everything that the Bullet Club stands for, we find out this Saturday, and I'm very much walking into this knowing that this is the biggest match of my career. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cody. I mean this sincerely, man. It was such an honor to have you on, and I look.
No,
go ahead.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, we can run into each other this weekend at WrestleMania or WrestleCon or any of that stuff.
We got to get a picture of Lou.
Hey, are you going to be at Hall of Fame?
I do not know. I know that my mother is she's got her Hall of Fame spot, and I always just make sure she's got her spot. I'll see when I get in, as far as and where we are with putting everything together with Supercard. So I might. Who knows?
Anyway, hey, man, thank you so much, Cody. Absolutely honored to have you on, man.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, man. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. Peace.
Thank you. You too, buddy.
Nice.
ROH Supercard of Honor, April 7th at the Lakefront Arena in New Orleans.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm kind of embarrassed I had such a huge brain fart earlier.
Happens to everybody.
Oh, God. Anyways, hey, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Here on X-Pac 12360 on Westwood One and the Jericho Network. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, be sure to
go ahead.
Be sure to use the hashtag X-Pac12360. If you want to come see Sean this weekend in New Orleans, he'll be at Access for WWE Saturday at 9 a.m. And then he'll be at WrestleCon all 3 days for That Wrestling Club with Al Snow, Kevin Nash, Mean Gene Okerlund. And then follow us on Twitter, Sean at The Real X-Pac, Instagram X-Pac12360, Facebook X-Pac12360 Show. Sign up for the newsletter and shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/Sean Waltman.
Sweet. Thanks, Jimbo. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
Marcus in the booth.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cody.
All right. We're out of here.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark Donica, Jimbo Frank, and TK Trinidad, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.